in the spirit of Shark Tank, but a little more focused on vision, obviously, and less on man-eating fish. We're going to spend a lot more time today talking about the technology that these companies have put together in order to build a market. And the great thing is that today we're being graced by 5 finalists. We had a lot of people apply to come up and share with you what they're doing on stage today, but only 5 made it through a rather rigorous, no darts were involved, process to pick who actually gets to present to you today. And they get 3 minutes. They get 3 minutes to tell their story. So they're very much going by the Mark Twainism. They made the time to make a short story so they wouldn't tell a long one. If they go over, we have a little bit of throwback to the 70s and 80s for those of you who grew up in the US, the Gong Show. So it's a great way to kind of align the interests for the audience and the presenters, but mostly also our judges. So we're actually joined today by 3 absolutely fantastic judges who really have deep knowledge in the space and are here really to help the finalists to make sense of where their opportunity is. And so let me start with Don, sorry, I had a cue card here someplace. Don's here from Intel. He used to be at Altera, and he's basically helping on the Intel Capital side understand opportunities for the application and solutions around FPGAs and other cool things. And so you were actually speaking on the panel beforehand, talking about some of the opportunities in the space. And now you're going to help provide some adult supervision for our 5 finalists.
Yep, looking forward to it.
This will be fantastic. And then Liz Gasser's here from Intel. Qualcomm. Boy.
You're off
You know what it is? Someone took
stuff.
my coffee earlier today. She's here from Qualcomm, where she works on the strategic side of the business, helping out with business development and M&A across a wide spectrum of things. She calls it the great other. But as you'll see, her other is actually bigger than most people's markets. And then Cyril's here. He's actually one of the founders of HAX, a hardware accelerator that works between Shenzhen and the Bay Area as a way to help companies who actually know how to make things with hardware, which is sort of a rare art here in the Valley these days, actually grow and build their companies. They've all volunteered their time not only to help us evaluate the folks here today from a final standpoint, but also in real time to give them feedback and help us decide a winner. But you're not the only ones judging today. Actually, you, the audience, are also participating in this because we have 2 awards. We have the Judges Award, and we have, of course, the People's Choice Award. And hopefully this does not turn out to be like America's Funniest Home Videos or American Idol, and we have 5 fantastic, tough decisions to make. But you'll all be asked to engage in that voting process as well. And probably the last thing is, I'm Dr. John Feland. I'm the founder and CEO of Argus Insights, and I've been asked to basically herd the cats today. And my job is actually get out of the way other than when they go over time. So the way this is going to work is that each team's going to get those 3 minutes I talked about to share their impact that they're creating on the planet, the dent that they're making in the universe. And then our judges are going to get 6 minutes to focus their attention on from a question and answer standpoint. No questions from the audience. We will have time afterwards over the cocktail hour to share and ask and celebrate with these 5 finalists based on what they're doing. So first up, our first contestant is actually, because we actually sort of randomized this. We're doing this alphabetically by company name, so numbers beat out letters. Even though I made a mistake earlier in getting 8 before 3. That's another story entirely. Boy, it's been a rough day for me, let me tell you. But Dmitry Morozov from 3DVI is actually doing some great work he's going to come talk to us about today. So come on in. And give him a round of applause. Come on, he's here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dmitry. I'm co-founder of 3DV company, and I'm presenting here Bluetooth accessory for full body tracking for mobile virtual reality. If you spend any time inside virtual reality, you quickly understand that without ability to have your own body inside virtual reality, you are just a spectator. Imagine having capability to immerse yourself in virtual reality, emitting wires, bulky controllers, complicated setup of a PC, virtual reality that can run on your mobile virtual reality headset and is controlled by simplicity of your body motions. Introducing VicaVR, a game-changing Bluetooth accessory that brings full-body motion tracking capability to Android and iOS virtual reality headsets. VicaVR consists of generic depth sensing module, embedded processing unit ARM-based, and our proprietary full-body tracking middleware, which is the result of 5 years of work. VKVR processes depth map in real time and communicates position of 19 body joints to any compatible Android or iOS device in real time. After pairing, basically, VKVR is a Bluetooth accessory. After pairing, you can see your full body in virtual reality, can interact with objects in virtual world, or control user interface by gestures, not using PC or wearable sensors. Currently, two other companies own similar technology, Microsoft with Kinect and Apple after acquisition of PrimeSense. But both these solutions are limited to their respective ecosystems. We are the only company that can afford to provide SDK both for Android and for iOS. The company was started 5 years ago. We raised $3 million and have development team in Russia. Currently, we're shipping development kits to Android developers. We finished industrial mechanical design and currently cooperating with Foxconn on adopting design for mass production. Our go-to-market strategy includes crowdfunding. We're launching crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo in 2 weeks and plan to start manufacturing until year end. And we believe this is just the beginning of a great chapter of full body presence in virtual reality. With software and hardware update, VKVR will be capable capturing not only 19 body joints, but real-time hologram of person. So chances are, next time will be not me, but my hologram standing here. Thank you.
Keep the mic. You have questions from the. So we have 6 minutes of questions here. Don, you want to start?
Yeah. Can you explain a little bit more your business model and how you plan to generate revenue?
Sell units.
Sell. Okay. Yeah. Sell.
We open to license technology.
Licensing.
As well.
Okay. And who would be your primary targets to license the technology to?
OEM, platform owners.
So at the moment, you are targeting essentially people using cardboard type of experience, or you are anticipating that Android will be an OS for future VR headsets, or how do you see the market evolving there?
Yes, it's mainly targeting Android, iOS devices, cardboard.
Okay.
What else?
Do you see the market going beyond that? I mean, do you see the actual OS, Android OS, being ported to existing headsets, or do you think that the market for cardboard users is going to be enough for you to actually?
Actually, this is
make
Bluetooth
sales?
accessory, and it can be paired not only with virtual reality headsets. It's smart TV, Apple TV, Android TV, game consoles, medical application, security, analytics for digital signage, point of sales. So it's a lot of application for when you don't need computer, but you need analytics, body analytics.
So I love any use case that gives me an excuse to invoke Star Wars. Help me, Obi-Wan. You are my only hope. You're targeting a price point of $299. How confident are you in being able to hit that, given that your launch is a little bit further out? And then second question, I noticed you were Android first. When do you see iPhone coming?
We are peripheral device. We'll provide SDK later this year. It's more complicated for us. iOS more complicated for developers, for peripheral developers.
Mm-hmm.
But what's your first question? Say it again, please.
So on the first question, you're targeting $299 for the consumer product piece of this. That's quite a ways out from where we are currently in terms of your launch date. So how confident are you that you're going to be able to hit that price point?
Again, Mr. We plan to start production at year end, this year.
Mm-hmm.
But you're asking what?
I'm asking, do you feel good about hitting the $300 price point based on
$300.
what you know currently of your supply chain?
Yes.
Okay, simple. Thank you.
So, but I guess to elaborate on that is who is your competition? What do they price theirs at? what made you choose the $299 versus $599 or $199?
It's not ultimate number, but again, idea actually not to market controller separately, but whole gaming system, consistent sensor, headset, and highly accurate pointing device with IMU. So basically, we compete against HTC Vive and Oculus.
Tell us a little bit about the crowdfunding campaign. If I invest in you, what do I get?
You will get a sensor and gaming experience. We currently have several Android games, and at shipping, at delivery, we will have 10 different Android game experiences that take advantage of full body tracking in virtual reality.
And what is your goal to raise? How much you want to raise in crowdfunding?
It's marketing game. We not expect. We start in production, not depending on crowdfunding. Our goal is just $50,000.
Who do you see as your target buyer? What kind of individual are you hoping to sell to?
First, it will be more developers and companies that's creating experiences for mobile virtual reality. So that's our key market at the beginning. So it's not like million units will be sold this year. We go step by step. I'm glad that we're creating applications and bringing developers who believe in this kind of device to create content. So it's very important for this type of system.
So you see the device hitting the market, and then you want to license it to companies that are already building headsets, or you see yourself selling the sensor as well in, I don't know, retail or other places?
We have separate product software. A separate product can be licensed for any application that require body tracking, and for this type of sensor, we open to any opportunities. Currently, we focus on production ourselves.
Can you describe to us how you protected your IP? What type of patents do you have?
We
Where are you in that process?
currently have two US patents. Two US patents have several more pending US patents and useful model as well.
What's going to differentiate your product versus anyone else that can develop this?
Developed what?
A product like yours, right? I mean, what's going to differentiate you?
It's
versus-
capital-intensive market. Companies spend tens of millions of dollars to create this technology. It's always competitors come. We hope to be less cost and more value. So that differentiates us.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dmitry.
Thank you.
All right, our next presenter, Arun from Tree, is actually going to be telling us about actually how to take dents out of the universe with what they're doing. So, come on, Arun.
So, quick show of hands. How many of you know someone whose vehicle has been damaged by hailstorms? Okay, nice representation. So, of those hands up, how many of you know how that vehicle damage is inspected and then quantified into a claims check? One hand. Okay, as I suspected, not many takers. And that's not surprising. It's because the established method in this industry for the last couple of decades has been a lot of human eyeball subjectivity. Here we go. And so it boils down to looking at the car and saying, is that a nickel-sized dent or is that a dime-sized dent? And then teams of very experienced inspectors all get together and they all have differing viewpoints. And so this process is plagued with subjectivity. That's not the only problem, though. It's also tremendously time-consuming. A leading insurance company that worked with us has told us that it takes approximately 40 to 50 minutes to inspect a single hail-damaged vehicle. Let's put that number in context. Every year in the US alone, there are 1 million vehicle claims filed, attributed purely to hailstorm damage. That's 750,000 hours of human inspection time simply to inspect, quantify, and identify the dents, not repairing, that are spent. Add on to that insurance companies are flying in SWAT teams of inspectors from one hail-damaged city to another simply to triage frustrated customers who have been waiting days or weeks simply to get their cars seen. So the question then boils down is, how can you alleviate this process, make it more efficient, and make it more objective so that it's fair to all the stakeholders involved? And on that point, enter DentCheck. It's a 3D optical surface inspection tool that has been designed specifically from the ground up to inspect dents and bumps and deliver go, no-go results. It's already being adopted by airlines globally to inspect hailstorm damage on their fleets and expeditiously return those aircraft back into service. Recently, Airbus certified DentCheck and has endorsed it for all of its airline customers to use for healthy fleet maintenance. So we believe that DentCheck has a very direct relevance to the problem of automotive hailstorm damage. We've run extensive tests and we've brought it down to about 5 minutes to inspect a single vehicle. That's an 80% reduction in inspection time alone. The benefits that accrue to insurance companies are obvious. They have a greater flow through of their claims traffic and more satisfied customers. But more importantly, the objectivity lends itself to give body shops, the ones actually doing the work, the authority to claim more of the claims revenue. Our initial focus is on the subsegments of the 3% of auto body network shops that are owned by private equity groups and car rental companies. With that, I'm happy to take questions.
Only from the esteemed judges.
Yep, so thanks.
So quite impressive that that you have landed apparently some airlines, right?
Yep.
So how big is the company today?
I'm sorry, can you
How big is the company?
We're a bootstrapped startup. We're 4 years old. We're 6 people. By design, we've bootstrapped, and our manufacturing is external contract manufacturer 3 blocks away from our R&D site. And our, again, to remain lean, our sales network has been a distributor reseller network to date.
Okay, and how much revenue, if you can share,
Sure.
Where you're at?
Sure. So we just started shipping systems commercially about 18 months ago. We closed we're in 2016. Yeah, so we closed 2015 at about $500,000. Prior to that, it was about $250,000 in 2014. We're looking now with some recent certifications at Airbus and other carriers. We're expecting, and we've got a pretty strong pipeline to support about a 1.5 to 1.8 revenue target this year that grows in a pretty healthy fashion over the next 3 years.
So, and sorry, I'll shut up after, but how do you charge them? What's your business model today?
So the business model is primarily a product sale, but there's a maintenance recurring revenue stream that comes with every installed base in the market. And then because we design products based on chronic problems that plague multiple industries, we're always receiving new expressions of interest of basically engaging with us, whether it's a product sale or a licensing model. So as we grow, we continue to entertain different models.
So just to echo the congrats on the Airbus certification,
Great,
that's
thank
huge. The question I have is, as you think about introducing new processes to this industry,
Okay.
how are you going about thinking through usability, training, and your impact on the flow of the customers you're targeting?
Okay, so this is a great setup, and I did not pay Liz for this question. So we come from our team comes from about a 25-year pedigree of making 3D optical metrology systems. It's a very crowded landscape out there with very, very skilled and talented companies that make awesome scientific tools that unfortunately get relegated to use by experienced engineers and scientists. But they're amazing tools. If you invest enough time in them, they'll do what you want them to do. Our philosophy in starting H3 was to run diametrically opposite to that general purpose scanner design. We make problem-specific, application-specific scanners. So where we spend the bulk of our time in developing an end-to-end solution is actually on usability engineering, a field that's not very commonly known. So about 80% of our development time is putting ourselves in the shoes of the semi-skilled operator on the line and making sure that they actually are empowered to use this tool, because ultimately they control operational efficiency, right? And so that's where everything in our system is basically a one concept. It's a one-click operation, 1.8 seconds to give you an answer, not data, and another button to generate a report. So everything is designed around usability. Does that answer your
Yeah,
question?
it does. Perfect.
Okay, great.
How do you scale the business? I like it because you've identified a market need and you've identified different market segments that you can expand the business into. But you're going from $500,000 to $1.5 million.
Yep.
How do you expand the business further? I mean, how do you get it to expand quicker? And what is the typical ASP of the system? And do you have systems that are built for airlines and systems that are built for cars? I mean, are there different price points? Can you explain that a little bit?
Okay, great, thanks. So a bit of a tiered question, so let me try to peel that. First of all, we're not a one-product company. We have 3 products today that have been based on 3 very chronic problems that we've invested a tremendous amount of time learning from various industries. The benefit of that platform-based approach is these products are designed around problems. Problems are not specific to an industry. Many industries suffer from the same problem. So that opens up the scope of the markets that we address. In terms of how we plan on scaling the revenues that I've just alluded to, so our existing customers, and these are long sales cycle industries that initially pulled on us, so we focused on them, are aerospace OEMs, and then we had a hypothesis for aircraft maintenance, so that's now been validated and is moving full steam ahead. The certification activities from each of these sectors actually is a major tipping point of volume adoption, and then that's what leads to scale on one side. But more importantly, there are several other industries that are at various stages of gestation with our technology. So we're expecting follow-on adoption. So automotive OEMs just started basically issuing orders last week to us. And this is still early stages. We're still trying to validate the assumptions, but we expect with those certifications, things pick up. And then new markets are being brought to us all the time, or brought to our attention, and we like hail damage for automotive. Does that begin to answer your question?
Sure, yeah, it does.
I think you had an ASP in there as well.
Yeah.
The ASP,
Yeah,
it's a value-based pricing model for different markets, depending on the value that we deliver. Right now, for the 2 big aviation markets, it's between $55,000 to $65,000 per system, which is at an entry point about half or less than any similar system out in the market that they use. And that's by design to really get in and sort of create a pleasant customer experience.
What does it take to adapt the technology to a new segment? Because you said you were use case specific.
Yep. So we by design, we've built a common foundational architecture. So then it's learning the application, learning the problem. So we actually immerse ourselves in that problem amongst the industry that has a need for, on average, about 12 to 18 months to really learn the problem as well as our customers do, hopefully better, so that when we deliver this one-button experience, they see an industry-compliant answer rather than data.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Great. 4, 3, 2, fantastic.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Nice
Appreciate it. Fantastic. Now we go from the notion of dents in the universe to a little bit of magic. So Faisal can tell us what they've been doing at Magik. I mean, hopefully it's a whole lot of magic, right? That's what we're here to see.
Yeah.
Some sleight of hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Do I have the wireless?
It's right here.
Thanks. It was about September 2013, about a year before we founded Magik. And the founder, Takeo, and myself, we reconnected at the top of the Metropolitan Museum in New York City, overlooking Central Park. And you may recall around that time that Google Glass had come out. And we got excited about the possibilities of where things could go with vision and artificial intelligence. And it was then that we came up with our tagline, actually, see it all, know it all. And then the question was, what could we do to play a role in this? Fast forward a year, and Takeo and our other co-founder, Professor Poggio of MIT, were playing with a drone in the professor's backyard one Saturday night. And it's been said that what the nerds are doing on the weekend is where we'll be working later on during the week. And sure enough, it was there that they got the inspiration for Magik, which is essentially a breakthrough 3D sensor that lets any camera see in 3D. So unlike current approaches that require multiple views, Magik can do this with a single view and with a simplicity of design that has dramatic impact in terms of cost, range of view, size, and compute. So then the question is, what are the implications in terms of the opportunities? Naturally, our original inspiration was for the drone sector with our wide range of view, for obstacle avoidance and detecting objects such as wires, which are very difficult. With our size advantage, in terms for the medical sector, we see a great opportunity for absolute and precise measurement in minimally invasive surgery in some of the deepest cavities of the body, which is a difference between life and death at times. And then finally, for the mobile and wearable sector, we see some excitement there for gesture recognition with wearables, facial recognition possibly for the mobile sector. And to give you an idea, anyone who's familiar with the Project Tango at Google, for example, many of the components that are in Tango today could be replaced with a single Magik Eye. So what we'll do is I'll just show a quick video. This was with our early prototype with a typical camera where Magik Eye's on there, and use the use cases where the drone's landing and Magik Eye actually sees the ground. And so essentially, I think that our business model is fairly straightforward. We're there to sell the sensor. And we think that we've got some dramatic advantages, particularly in recovering the 3D versus the current approaches with a really high, incredible resolution at near distances. And over time, with that advantage of compute, we hope there'll be additional AI there too.
Great. All right, a few questions from the judges.
So you mentioned earlier that it was working in complement with existing camera, or it's actually replacing them?
No, this is essentially a ring around the camera that lets any existing camera see in 3D.
Okay.
So we are the iris. If the CMOS sensor is the pupil, we're an iris, and our half hardware and half software, 50 roughly speaking.
Okay, so kind of your competition is also companies like Occipital that allows you to plug something on top of the iPad, for example, or?
Well, we're not going to compete with that, but you could say.
Because you are much better, 10 times better?
Well, no, because the thing is that there's basically just a ring around an existing camera, and with ours, because it's a single view, we can even go down. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to avoid where multiple views are required. Mm-hmm. So we're not the only solution, but we are probably the best solution for certain markets.
So just looking at the slides, it's actually really hard to gauge form factor. So just thinking ahead to phones, because that's
Yes.
what I generally care about.
Yes.
How are you progressing on hitting kind of the price point and the form factor you need to hit to be in a smartphone?
Yeah. Okay. So obviously the smartphone will probably be we're the furthest away from that side, okay. But we would right now, let's say later this year, we're expecting 10 millimeters for endoscopy for the medical side, which is our path to the mobile. And that will be a higher priced one. We envision with the volume for the mobile sector to hopefully bring that down to the mid to low single digit dollars wise.
Where are you on the product rollout and adoption by customers and such?
Yeah, we have some interest and some right now with the drone, and what came out of left field is the surveillance industry. And so we expect to go into production in September with purchase orders this summer. And our goal is to do about $1 million to $2 million in sales by next year.
And how many units would that be?
Well, let's say a conservative model, 50,000 units for the surveillance market will hit our $1 million sales target for next year.
So a lot of people are obviously working on this problem. See a lot of depth sensing pitches. What is your plan to kind of compete and win, and what kind of benchmarking have you done so far with this solution?
Yeah, I mean, right now, the way we're going to market and how we've differentiated ourselves, we've engaged with customers from day one, actually. So we let the customers, for example, in the drone sector, the DJI Phantom 4, not only did we rip it apart, but so did one of our potential clients. And so we see where their advantages are and where their weaknesses are. And basically the client then tells us what are some of the important factors there. And if in terms of benchmarking, let's say we are superior to some of the current solutions within 5 meters today. And then of course with cost, we have a significant advantage as well. So we're getting this feedback from the customers from the beginning.
I think you've mentioned that you could adjust the cost, the range of view, and the size. Can you tell us more about the flexibility of the platform, or?
Sorry, the size or the cost?
Or the cost, or
both?
whichever.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, I mean, just naturally
flexible, right?
Sure. Naturally, if you just think about going from 2 views to 1, you right off the bat can think of the advantages of cost. right? They're just less hardware and stuff like that. And then also with size. So those are just two natural advantages that we come across with our solution. Some of the other ones came about with sort of the expertise of the team and how they designed, for example, the wide range of view. But cost and size is kind of have to do with cutting the views in half.
Can you tell us about your 3 to 5 year revenue model and what type of margin you think you're going to get from this type of product?
What kind of the last
Margin,
margin? Yeah.
Profit margin.
Yeah, we're targeting around 50% gross margins. We'd like to have a $100 million valuation based on conservative financial metrics over a 5-year period.
Thank you.
So I'm going to pull you back a little bit because you sidestepped my
Sure.
learned colleague's question a little
Okay.
bit on competition.
Sure.
Occipital, you
Yeah.
said not really.
Yeah.
Who do you see as your competition?
Well, I mean, there are, like, for example, for the drone sector, the competition are the other approaches. So stereo has some advantages at longer distances. So the question there is, in our version 1, they've got some advantage in terms of distance, but we think that like a plane versus the early planes versus the cars, as we go into second and third versions, will probably be much better. But certainly stereo could be one competition in the drone. For the medical sector, we don't see anything right now, and neither do we see that for the mobile sector at the current point. But we're not in there yet.
Any other questions from the judges at all? One more? Or you're good? Okay, great.
2 thumbs up.
Sure.
Thank you, Faisal. Appreciate it. So we have a wide variety of folks. We're moving from hailstorms to drones, now to igniting the movement. So I'm going to let Pree tell you a little bit more about the movement that they're starting at Preemadonna. Oh, and the clicker is right there. There you go.
So each one of us in this room has something in common with a 13-year-old girl. Each of us expresses ourselves in a unique way, whether it's through your research, through your work, or through the arts. At Preemadonna, our mission is to meet women and girls with technology so that they can creatively express themselves. And so we're starting with a very popular form of creative expression, nail art and nail decoration. Nail art and nail decoration transcends race, class, and often age and geography. But the current methods to getting a customized instant manicure are actually a challenge. Going to a nail salon is extremely inconvenient and pretty pricey. Doing it yourself can lead to clumsy results. We searched for a better solution. We couldn't find it, so we invented it. We invented the NailBot. The NailBot prints custom instant nail art directly on your fingernails using your smartphone. This is how the NailBot works. Choose the image you'd like on your fingernail. You can choose pictures from your camera roll, an emoji. You can even design your own NailBot nail art. Now we use the back-facing camera of your smartphone to size your fingernail using advanced open computer vision algorithms and place that art accurately. And then you print. And within 5 seconds, that image instantly prints onto your fingernail. So the visual output of the NailBot is compelling. But we're actually building a mobile art marketplace for applications beyond printing directly on your fingernail. And who's gonna love us the most? It's our preteen and teen Preemadonnas. They're 21 million girls strong in the United States, 92% of which decorate their nails regularly, 14% of which decorate their nails at least once a day. But the NailBot to them is not just a beauty device. Yeah, it's a great gadget. It's actually part of a bigger movement. It's really a learning tool. So girls in our community are learning how to program their own printers, our very first NailBots, using Arduino. They're learning how to digitally design their own NailBot nail art using software programs like Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, and InDesign. And they're joining our community in a grassroots way. And so in our early days, we're really a grassroots movement. We've partnered with Girl Scout councils across the United States, all-girl high school and middle schools, and are getting out the movement through Maker Girl, one of our nonprofit partners. In Japan, we have a more localized strategy and have pending POs for 55,000 NailBot units in time for holiday 2017. So for the past 3 years, my team and I have architected, invented, and engineered a product family of NailBots because the nail care and nail services industry is $15 billion globally. But what we're really doing is we're building and pioneering the smart beauty vertical and Internet of Things. So join us on our movement. It's more than just the NailBot, but get on the Nailbot waitlist. We've got 20,000 folks on that Nailbot waitlist right now. We hope you guys are going to be one of them. And go to our website, and happy to take questions. Thank you.
Well done. Questions from the judges?
Large market opportunity, I think, for you. And also, I like the angle that it teaches the kids from Adobe Illustrator all the way through configuring their printer. I spent about an hour configuring my printer this weekend, so I can use the course. But tell us about the business model. You talked about a little bit about the market opportunity. I mean, where do you see your revenue?
Absolutely. So we really have three components to the Nailbot. The Nailbot is sold as a kit. We have lean hardware, we have a cartridge that works with our early Nailbots, and I do have inkjet partners. But really where we make the money is in our digital art marketplace. So the Nailbot is sold as a kit. Right now we're going to market at a $199 MSRP price point. We know that's high. We can bring that down by half within 18 months with high volume. But the gift that keeps on giving is that digital art marketplace, where it's a freemium model for free emojis, pictures from your camera roll, but there is a licensed art section. Right? And so we're working with potential partners like Disney, Marvel. Girls want Elsa on their fingernail. I've learned this very well. And so it's pay-as-you-go in a subscription model. So,
okay, good.
Yeah.
So this is where I get to bust out the bad puns. That was a well-polished pitch. Nice job.
She really nailed it, didn't she?
She did. We got a thing here.
Came out well with the British accent, too.
So you mentioned you went online when you first were addressing this problem. You couldn't find other ways of doing it. I did a little Googling when I first saw you on the roster, and got a slew of results for nail printers. So I was hoping you could speak to your ability to stand out, your sources of ongoing differentiation, the ability to protect from copycats. If you could tell us more about
It's a great question. So nail printers as a concept have existed for 20 years. I mean, you Google it and you'll see it. But they've been sold to nail salons between $5,000 to $20,000, right? So number one, the smartphone as the controller is one of our biggest differentiators. We are first to market with that type of solution, and it's meant to be an at-home device for girls to use. So one of our biggest differentiators is not just selling the Nailbot as a $5,000 piece of hardware. It's really on having the mobile phone be that key part of the experience. It's powered by Preemadonna. That hardware will get commoditized over time, and that's just fine. It should, every Nailbot or every Nailbot competitor should be powered by Preemadonna. We should be that default. Other competitors that I would say exist include nail stickers, right, or traditional nail polish. The irony there is it's that level of instant customization that they just can't compare. So if you want to print a picture of your dog, good luck finding a nail sticker that's going to do that on demand. And if you want to, paint your nails manually and then do intricate designs within 3 seconds, that's also not going to happen. There's a great opportunity for us to partner with existing nail polish companies and include their nail polish in our Nailbot kits. Many have reached out to me, and it's a great marketing opportunity for us to reach new distribution.
That's helpful, thanks. Can you talk a little bit about the ink? Is there some
ink?
kind of specialty
Yes.
ink that you have to
Yeah,
sell?
so it's a great question. One of the other areas of differentiation from us versus some of the other expensive competitors in the past, we are working on different ink formulations. Some of our ink is actually food grade safe. It's ink that's used on food labels, particularly as we're addressing a toy potential market and children under the age of 12. We're very careful about that. We are working with authorized inkjet fillers with 2 of our inkjet partners.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So selling to your target market, which are teenagers, can come with some challenges because they don't have credit cards, right? So how can you make sure that their parents are going to help them?
Yeah, one of the key outreaches for us is the way that we go to market. When we appeal to the teens and the preteens, Preemadonna as a brand is very inspirational to them. Nail art is the #3 most pinned category across Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest. So we can really tap into the kind of that social aspect already. But for the parents, especially the moms, we're a pretty authentic company. We're girls building for girls. And so we're involving parents pretty early on in that process with the learning angle, with schools, with Girl Scout troops. Match your manis with your mom seems to be very popular as to how we can go to market there.
Going to market with a hardware product, being the painter itself in a consumer market is undaunting task. Why don't you just license your technology?
Yeah, I think there's a licensing play for us, and that's something that we are certainly looking at, but we've come very far. with the Nailbot and powering our platform. So Nailbot for Disney, Nailbot for L'Oreal, Nailbot for Essie, those are all potential possibilities, but the Nailbot is a product. We're really building a platform behind it. So we can license in time. It's really what parts of our product are we going to license.
What's your launch date? What are you
Yeah,
pointing
so
at?
we are launching a second phase to our large crowdfunding campaign, August 15th, as we've tentatively scheduled for that. And it'll be a 28-day campaign, so we're really pushing all our efforts there.
How much? How much per device and?
Yeah,
Right now?
so our early adopters will have that $169 to $179 price point for that Nailbot kit. They'll also get early access, be able to beta test. We have over 700 volunteer teen and preteen ambassadors across the country that want to get involved, that want to design Nailbot nail art and spread the movement.
So I apologize if I missed it, but your Kickstarter's launching in the fall, or are you shipping product in the fall?
So we're going to ship 250 beta units, and for us, getting product out is fantastic. By the end of the year, to our early ambassadors and we did a preliminary Indiegogo campaign, learned a lot of lessons around that a few months ago, and have since signed up about 20,000 folks on the wait list.
Okay, terrific.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. It's fantastic. As we continue with the bad puns, building the momentum, Adam's going to come talk to us about what they've been doing at SKUR, and I'll let him build the suspense around what they've been building. Sorry. You'll understand why I'm apologizing in just a second. Yes, I will. Yeah, I'll be your video Vanna.
Hi, everybody. We're here to talk about SKUR, visualizing variance for the construction and facilities management markets. So, interesting article 2 weeks ago in Forbes magazine. They cite 35% of construction costs are accounted by waste and remedial work. And when you look at the size of the market, you're looking by 2030, a $15.5 trillion market. So if you think about that, the waste of $5.5 trillion is just mind-boggling. So when you look at some of the world's iconic buildings, the Burj, it's not so iconic at 1,700 feet. Empire State Building, same thing. One World Trade Center at a very patriotic 1776. 1154 in Manhattan, who knows what was going on. So as we go forward, we'll show you what we actually do. So we're a SaaS-based solution, and what we're going to show here is basically how our product works, which is shipping today. So with this, what we're first going to do is we're going to log in via the website. We're going to upload a design model, which is DWG. That's a common model in the construction industry. And then what we're going to do is we're going to upload a point cloud. The point cloud that we utilize today is LiDAR, but part of what's very interesting for us are the technologies that are being presented today. That's our future input. Once we do those things, we go ahead and we process, we hit what we call the magic button, and the user sets their tolerances. So in this case, red, yellow, green for compliance to out of compliance. Those are all user generated. That's then processed in the model. And what we're going to show you here in a moment is basically two outputs. The first output is a column, and that column example is basically going to show the column with the user-generated tolerances and the maximum discrepancy per object. So in this case, what you're seeing here is how far out of compliance is this particular object related to the design model. And as this rotates, what you'll see, I'll let it rotate here, is to the left, you're going to see the point cloud, and to the right, you're going to see the design model. So that's really what the power of SKUR is. This is really about quality assurance, quality control, and analytics that can be used through the construction process. The second deliverable that we provide is a report, and that report shows data, the discrepancy in the XYZ axis, as well as a variety of data points, analytics about each individual object. So I'm going to skip forward on this, and just to wrap up, saves time. That equals costs in construction. It's cloud-based, leverages high-performance computing, and saves IT costs. No IT costs to the end user. Per-use licensing model, so we think we've got a novel, low-cost way to get into our technology, and version 1.4 is now available. Thank you.
Fantastic.
So you said version 1.4 is available. You must have sales now. Can you talk about what
So-
company has now?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been in development for 30 months, and we released the product at the beginning of March. So we're in active trials with a variety of very large construction customers, and we expect revenue this quarter.
Is that the target customer base, the large construction companies?
Today, initially it is. So it's large construction companies in the ecosystem on a construction site. So it's engineers, architects, fabricators. The entire ecosystem is really what we target.
Not sure I'll look at any of those buildings quite the same way again. Could you talk a little bit more about your dependence on ongoing hardware evolution? You mentioned you're using LiDAR today. How important is it to you that the underlying scanning technology continues to evolve for your offering and your business case?
That's a good question. LiDAR is a very compelling technology for a variety of reasons, but it's also very expensive when you think about the cost of the data acquisition, largely because of the CapEx for the actual LiDAR unit itself. So as we go forward, what we're really looking for are alternative technologies that will allow us to develop point clouds and bring those into our platform. For instance, photogrammetry. We think that's a very promising and compelling technology that over time we'll be able to utilize for point cloud rendering. Flash LiDAR. A lot of the technologies that are being driven by the automotive industry, we think are going to be very relevant to the way that we're able to collect and process data.
So you're working on a very, very specific topic. So what brought a team together, and what were your experience in the past to actually analyze this market?
So I'm a recovering venture capitalist, I guess. I spent 20 years doing early stage venture here in the Valley in a variety of different things, spaces. And I've always been very fascinated with the idea of disruption. And if you look at construction, I mean, is there any other market in the world that's as big and has as little reliance on technology as construction? So when we started to look at the market, we thought, well, there's a number of issues here. Number one, technology that's actionable provides tremendous opportunity for the consumers of that technology. And there's a sustainability element in it as well, because if you think about the dollars that are wasted, if you think about the materials that are wasted, I mean, what's not getting built? I mean, we think about the things that are getting built, but think about, I mean, we're the taxpayers. We pay for a lot of these buildings, and they're wasting a lot of money. So, we like that angle as well.
Just to build on that, can you talk a little bit about the rest of the team and the backgrounds they come from? Because obviously this is a super specialized industry.
Sure. So we have a great team. We're 8, going to 10 here in the next couple of weeks. And basically, we're an engineering-focused organization at this point. We have 6 engineers. We have the other 2 come from AEC, 5 engineers, 2 AEC guys, architecture, engineering, and construction, which bring the domain expertise, and then myself.
Ever thought about changing the name of the company? It's not descriptive to what you're doing.
Plus, I demonstrated myself incapable of
Unless
saying it
that's a
earlier
construction
today.
term that I don't understand or something.
Well, I mean, 4-letter domain name that can be used as a verb. So there you go.
Yeah. Definitely out of high tech.
Very encouraging, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So there must be some kind of really big ERP systems, right, in the architecture building. And could you actually use them to distribute your product or become some kind of plugin on top, or?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we're a data company, so, it's not as important for us to have the data necessarily expressed in our environment. It's really about, fully leveraging the power of the data. So number one, we're limited really by the existing modeling applications that are out there and how we display data. But number two, there's a lot of functions across the ecosystem that are not visual. They're things for managing productivity. They're things for managing scheduling, supply chain, ERP. And really, our vision is that we enable those applications with our data. So we really see trying to be very broad in the way that this data gets consumed.
So being an ex-venture capitalist, what's the exit strategy for the company?
We want to build a great company. I mean, I'm an operator, so I want to operate, and we think we're at 150 million in revenue in 5 years. So we're building something, and we're going to try to build it to last.
Who do you see as your competition in this context?
Well, the big kind of modeling OEMs, so like Autodesk, Trimble, Bentley Systems, they're all going to want this functionality because they need the reality back into the modeling environment, which nobody has today. So they may try to create it. But one of the important things is we're not just a geometry engine, we're an analytics engine. So we can bring in any sensor data and geospatially orient that to a design model. And that means that we can utilize SKUR data through the life cycle of the asset. So we're kind of a cradle to grave technology. That's really how we see ourselves.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well done. So now we're at that time where we give the judges a chance to caucus and decide which of the 5. I actually would like to have the 5 up on the stage, please. We're going to do this audience crowdsourced, not really sort of indie vision, go-go, starter, kick it off, crowd voting thing. And we're going to do this in a very scientific, highly calibrated method. Your cheers decide the popularity of the contestants, okay? And so Senda has actually been across multiple events calibrating her arm angle to decibel levels. And we're going to kind of do this kind of pseudo crowd. You guys can't leave. We need your voice. You can't leave. Oh, they said talk to the hand. All right, great. So I need your enthusiasm, okay? And we're going to sort of go back in the order that we presented in and to kind of give you, yeah, we're going to, thank you. Just a quick reminder, we had Vico VR, no clapping yet, Vico VR, Dent Check, Magik Eye, Nailbot, and SKUR. And each of them using vision in an absolutely novel way to really make a change in the marketplace today. Your decision is which one do you like the best. You don't have any reasons, no criteria. It could be what you had for breakfast this morning or whether, which kind of wine you're going to have after this. But we're going to start with Vico VR Dmitry. Okay. Arun and Dent Check. All right. Feisal and Magik Eye. Okay. Pree and Nailbot. And Adam and SKUR. Oh, we're getting close. Okay, we're going to go back and look at, Dent Check. Nailbot. SKUR. All right, now we're looking at, now we're going to go down to 2. We're going to basically try to distinguish between Nailbot and Dent Check. Okay, can you do this? Can we get a little hoop and holler in a little bit? Pree and I are both from the South. We're used to a little rowdier crowds in this today.
It's killing me to be silent, so come on.
Yeah. So Dent Check. Nailbot. I actually think we have a winner from the audience then. I think Dent Check ended up being a winner for the audience, but let me check with the judges to see where they ended up. Timeout. Tap dance, okay. All right. So the judges are doing a tap dance because in the event of the judges, they do the grand prize. You guys are awesome, but you only get to do the second prize piece. So if they supersede, we end up with a different ranking piece. And so I've been asked to tap dance, which growing up where I did, I know how to square dance, but not tap dance. And so I don't want to subject you guys, and my Irish clogging isn't very good. Actually, does anyone have any questions for the presenters while we have a few moments here? Yes, sir.
Why sell to the auto body shops? Why not sell to the insurance companies?
That's a great question. I was hoping it would come up earlier. So,
Do we get $20 later?
so there's a value proposition for all stakeholders, but insurance companies actually hold the upper hand right now. And whatever they dictate in the subjectivity, everyone else has to follow. When you add objectivity, the body shops can then sway the equation. The reason we're focusing initially on and the leading insurance, one of the top 3 insurance companies is convinced of our application, but the subjectivity takes away a marginal revenue stream they have right now when they negotiate with body shops. So they're not going to be the first mover by themselves. But there is, out of the 30,000 body shops in the US alone, the top 3% are owned by major private equity groups. In the last 4 years, billions of dollars have been spent in the acquisition of these roll-ups that are focused on the body shop sector. Those private equity groups are obviously in this to tweak every little bit of operational efficiency they can. And so ultimately in this massive ecosystem, they are the tail that can actually sway the dog of insurance. So that's why we're starting with those guys. Yeah, question.
I know it's not going to be easy, but the ultimate, the holy grail of this solution will be to enable end user by using one of these.
Absolutely.
Right, as an add-on or whatever you want.
Absolutely.
And take everybody out of the equation. What is preventing you from doing that?
It's multiple factors at this time, right? So we can, if we develop, first of all, technically, if we developed a solution that met the resolution requirements of what insurance companies would agree to, you could implement something on a handheld device. However, you need to start off with the insurance companies because they're the ones that cut the check, right? So consumers can't sway insurance companies because it's a captive audience. It's not a growing base of customers for insurance. It's a finite base that moves from one insurance company to another. And folks like Geico have told us that. They say we lose customers, another competitor wins them. There's no new, someone stops driving a car, someone new joins the driving pool. So you need to focus on how you can sway insurance, and individuals aren't necessarily going to sway that in a mass way.
These are the biggest winners because they are the ones who end up saving all the costs that is in the past right now.
Exactly, but to begin with, you need to be able to access the people in insurance that can look ahead and imagine that, as opposed to thinking about, crap, I'm going to lose out if I negotiate on a dent that I want to pay only for 1 hour of work to the body shop, but the body shop says, look, it's really a 4-hour job. I'm going to squeeze them and say it's a 1.5 hour payout. Insurance wins. So that marginal revenue is what they're afraid of losing short term.
Speaking of looking ahead to drinks, we have a decision. We have an outcome. And if anyone's ever read Sareki's book about wisdom of the crowds, you nailed it. The crowd and the judges came out with the exact same outcomes. So in fact, we're going to present the judges' prize first and then the audience prize second. So that, because it's basically ended up being the same ranking, so you can't get 2 prizes. That seems kind of ridiculous. This is not the Olympics nor 3rd grade. And so Jeff will now present the first prize to Arun for dent check for Pree. The judges' prize.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
Oh, get in there. And it was tough. The judges wanted extra time.
Thanks so much, Jeff.
They wanted to let it marinate a little bit.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
And the judges and the audience came up with the same second place. So congratulations to Pree and Nailbot and Preemadonna. But also congratulate the other finalists as well, because it took a lot to actually get here, and they all did a great job. So thank you all very much. And one final round of applause to the judges. So thank you all very much, judges. They're behind in the back, but you know.
You guys had great questions.
And go get drinks.
Fun to do it with